I have 3 patterns set up on the preview window. Preview patterns. I have this feather wreath, square, abstract daisy border, and the angel. Now, I want to show you a few things about how you can go about making different settings as far as stitches per inch or speed for a particular pattern. I'm going to go to Tools and Technical Support, Controller Definition, and see this is all of your default settings. This is what is set in. Maybe you have made your settings. Like I have my speed set at 65, I have my P2P line speed at 30, stitches per inch at 12, and I have all of my other default settings in there. So once you set all of these, whatever you want, then you go to File, Save and Close. So every time you go into this form, you should go to File, Save and Close, especially if you have made any change in the controller definition form. So I'm going to go and save this and close it. Now, I don't ever go into the controller definition and do any changes for a specific project, because I can make all the changes I need to make right in the project itself. So this is my project, and everything is loaded, and here I clicked on this particular pattern, and you can see what settings I have in here. Stitches per inch is 12. My speed is 65, and then here's my tile stitches. And this, all of this is associated with this particular pattern. Its height is 11.99. Now, if I want this pattern to be a different height, I can make the change in this setup. Maybe I want this to be 10. So if I change it to 10 and click in the pattern width box, it changes the width according to the height. Now suppose I want this to stitch at maybe 14 stitches per inch. It is highlighted. And I go over here and I change the stitches per inch to 14. Now this is the way I do all of this type of changes. Now down in this box it's still going to say 12, and it's going to say 65 as far as the speed. But even if I wanted to change the speed, I can click this box. Maybe I want to change it to 50. I'll change it there. And you won't necessarily see this change if you look at this bottom box. The only time you'll see this change is when you start stitching the pattern. So I'm going to go over to the next pattern, and its speed is 65, its stitches per inch is 12. So maybe I want this to be the stitches per inch to be 11. So I highlight the stitches per inch and I make it 11. And the speed is 65. That's good for this pattern. I'll leave it alone. And the pattern height, you'll change that to 9. Now that's how I've set that. I'll go over to this third pattern, and this is kind of a dense pattern. It's got a lot of little things in it. So maybe I want the stitches per inch on this to be 16. So I'll change it to 16 stitches per inch. I may want to slow the speed down, say to 45. And this pattern, I may want it to be 12 inches, the height of it to be 12 inches. So I'll change that. Now it'll change the width automatically. And this is how this will all work. So you can make all of these changes right in your project. Notice the project, I haven't named it anything, so it's just my quilt project. So if I want to name this, I'll click the Save button, and I'm going to go down here and say I'm going to call this my setup example. So that right there gives me all the information that I need. And I might even go ahead and put the date in here. This is 4/4/2016. And that's usually how I name my things, by date and time. So I'm going to save that. Now that's a project, and now in my project is C project, my setup example 4/4/2016.proj. So what I'm going to do now is I have this angel. I want this to stitch first, and this one next, and this one last. So I'm going to just go up to set my sew order, and I'm going to make this 1, this 2, and this 3. Or it's actually 0, 1, 2, not 1, 2, 3. I'll hit that. Now my sew order start here. It'll stitch this next, and then it will stitch this one. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and just tell it to quilt. And it's going to go to the start point. Take a stitch. Now, first I'm going to do something because I'm going to stop that. And I'm going to go to Tools. I'm going to turn off my thread break because it's going to stop stitching if I don't. So I'll go over here, hit my quilt. And notice the speed now is 50 and the stitches per inch is 14. So if I just hit OK, it will start stitching that at 50% and 14 stitches per inch. Okay, and I'm not going to stitch all of this. I'll just go ahead and stop it. And I'm going to toggle this as sewn. Now my next pattern is over here. And notice its stitches per inch is 11 and its speed is 65. But down in here it still says 50 and 14. So let's see what happens when I click quilt. Okay. 65 and 11. So that's what it's going to stitch at. I didn't change the speed, but I changed these stitches per inch. So if I click OK, it will start stitching that at 65% and 11 stitches per inch. So that's how you do all of this, is right on your screen. I'll hit stop. I'm going to select this, right click, toggle it as sewn. Now my last pattern over here, if I just select it, it's going to say 65 and 11. This will not change until I go to quilt. So see what happens when I go to quilt. Okay, I'm going to quick pause. Here it changed to 45% and 16 stitches per inch. So there it is. It's going to do that. And I did a quick pause. Now I can do a quick start. So you select the pattern you want to change, the speed, the stitches per inch, or the height, or whatever. And you do it right on your screen. I would never go into my controller definition and do any of this type of setup. You just do it right on your screen. See, I can go to Tools, Technical Support, Controller Definition, and I can make changes. But I wouldn't do that, change my defaults just for a project unless I maybe was stitching every pattern in the project at a different stitches per inch or a different speed or whatever it is you need to change. You just do it right here on the screen. And even if I select these, it's only going to say whatever the speed and the stitches per inch is for the last pattern that I stitched. But if I go back, I say I toggle this as unsewn, and I click quilt. Now you notice it's 45 and 16. That's this pattern. If I hit quilt, it will change to 65 and 11. See how it works? So when you switch back and forth, you have your speed and your stitches per inch set according to what you selected the pattern and entered the numbers. So I hope this will help a little bit in clearing up how to set speed and stitches per inch for individual patterns when you're working with maybe all custom quilting. Edge to edge quilting, you wouldn't change the speed of the stitches per inch once you set them. So I hope that gives you some ideas.